So we're super stoked to have you in today, Joey. Talk about Psychedelic Club Denver, and now it's kind of grown to Psychedelic Club national-wide. You got stuff going on with that. So just give us a little bit of your background and kind of what brought you to this path that you're on right now.
Cool. First of all, thanks for having me. Beautiful day in Denver. I'm happy to come on down to this beautiful campus. And I would say maybe coincidentally, I moved to Denver about 3 years ago, and my first drug policy event, it was a Students for Sensible Drug Policy regional conference, and it took place at this university, and we went to the brewery downstairs, so it's pretty cool to come on back. Yeah.
Cool.
Full circle.
Yeah. Where are you originally from?
I grew up in Chicago, and then I lived in the great state of Iowa for 6 years.
Are you a Cyclone or a Hawkeye?
Hawkeye all the way.
Go Hawks!
Yeah. There's a lot of us here.
Yeah. We're big wrestling fans and grew up wrestling, so.
The great Dan Gable, yep.
Yeah, legendary Dan Gable.
It's
It's hard to be in Iowa City and not know.
Exactly.
Yeah, and guest Drew McManus from Iowa as well, from Satsong.
Yeah,
we had him on.
Yeah, we had him on, and then our the assistant director of the studio here is originally from Chicago as well, so we had him on and got his kind of take on Chicago versus Denver. I'm sure we can get into that too if we have time for it.
I got a lot to say about that. Might have to be another episode. So
good or bad?
There's a lot. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of us are here. So,
Sure.
And actually, I grew up right on the border of Cook County and DuPage County, and Cook County is the number one emigrated, I think is the right term for county that has moved to Denver. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like I know just as many Chicago people here as I do back home. So.
Okay. And Chicago recently just went through their initiative, correct?
They took the first steps. They haven't finalized it. Someone in a subcommittee proposed it for all entheogenic plants, so that might actually include opium. I haven't really read it, too in detail, but I know it's a pretty broad range, resolution, I think they call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved here in Denver?
Well, I've been involved in criminal justice reform for a long time now, about 10 years, going back to Iowa. So, community organizing, political stuff is kind of my forte. Like I said, I went to the SSDP conference here, I think it must have been in 2016. There's actually, I think, a presentation for Psychedelic Club, and I looked up my local chapter. The Denver chapter just started. I think this had to be 2016 because I moved here in the summer of 2016. So in the fall of 2016, I went to my first Psychedelic Club Denver meeting. I was elected to the board of the chapter a few months later. Then I ran the chapter for about 2 years, and we kind of, after the mushroom campaign, the national board kind of got super re-energized. So I moved up from the Denver chapter to national, and yeah. We've got a bunch of chapters now. We're rapidly expanding, and a lot on my plate.
How many chapters are there?
Right now, there is about 11 officially established chapters. We're due to about, by the end of the year, probably almost double. The cool thing is we've got college chapters and community chapters. So, we've got a nice balance between the different sectors of the community.
Cool. And are you doing remotely stuff for the national chapter, or is that based here in Denver as well?
We all work remotely. There's about a team of 3 of us right now. I'm in Denver, obviously. I live in Cap Hill, so this was a short little drive over.
Nice.
Clayton is in Boulder, and Joe Moore of Psychedelics Today, who is a board member, lives in Breckenridge.
Yeah, we had Joe's partner, Kyle Bowler, on the podcast a while back.
Cool.
So we talked with those guys as well, and they've got some great stuff going on. So, I mean, what was the initiative? I mean, it was already going when you got involved here in Denver. There was already people trying to get
301, the mushroom? No, actually. So I was at the Denver chapter, and so Psychedelic Club is a 501c3 charity, and we're a community-based organization. We can't really directly get involved in politics for government reasons, and that's kind of not our objective of the group. That being said, there's no way to interact in this society without, affecting politics. So the Psychedelic Club Denver was, preceded the mushroom campaign, and people started I would say, talking about it at the Psychedelic Club of Denver, and then the campaign kind of broke off.
Okay.
So there was rumblings inside the group and then outside the group, and I think the forces joined and then split off. And throughout the whole campaign, we shared a lot of volunteers and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
Was that what you guys did during the campaign, going out, letting people know that this is going on and what their rights were? Like, what was the club's involvement in the campaign?
Well, we shared a lot of volunteers. Obviously, since we were both, it was all a volunteer campaign, and all Psychedelic Club's all volunteers. We didn't directly do anything. We didn't hand out flyers and stuff. Obviously, before they were an official campaign, we co-hosted educational events about mushrooms. I forget what their campaign was before. It wasn't always decriminalize Denver. It was like decriminalize mushrooms or something. And we hosted a lot of educational base, because we didn't have for a long time we had to wait to get the signatures approved and get the approval to start gathering signatures. So there's a lot of downtime where we can focus on education. I think that's where the Psychedelic Club of Denver really came in, was focusing on why are mushrooms good? Why is the drug war a complete failure? So yeah, no, we didn't do any.
How much time you got?
Exactly. So yeah, we didn't do any direct campaigning, but we just talked about the education. I think that dissuaded some people's vote.
So is that the foundation of the club and what the club does? Are the meetings? Is it predominantly educational type of conversations that are going on?
Yeah, it's more community based. All the chapters are different, especially between like the Psychedelic Club of Denver and the Psychedelic Club of Boulder. For instance, Psychedelic Club of Boulder is much more university based, and the Denver chapter has a wide variety of H's, let's say. But for instance, we do like movie night, book of the month, which is pretty cool, where instead of like high school where everyone awkwardly pretends they read the book and no one did, we assign a volunteer or an officer of the club a book like a month ahead of time, and they come and present it, and they host a discussion. That way people are encouraged to come to the meetings and stuff. We also host a bunch of speakers from other organizations, but most importantly, we host like a discussion. We tell the speakers to leave room for discussion, or we prepare questions if it's movie night. If we watch a movie on cannabis or something, we prepare questions like, who does anyone microdose cannabis? What does cannabis help? What's the negative? So we really, just try to make it like a community discussion, a lot of anecdotal stories. We're just here to more, share our story instead of, present and stuff. We don't just like, all right, we watched the movie, time to go home. It's like, no, we're trying to integrate this into our mainstream life. What is this documentary about the Sunshine Makers mean? How is it relevant today? How is, the Grateful Dead relevant today? So that's what we, really, culture, education, harm reduction. Those are all pillars of Psychedelic Club.
Speaking of having the monthly book and having movies, what are some of your favorite books and or movies on the subject of psychedelics?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm more of a culture, sociology kind of person, so I really like The Most Dangerous Man in America, the Richard Nixon and the Manhunt for the High Priest of LSD, which is an account of Timothy Leary escaping from prison, and it's really cool because Richard Nixon, wiretapped himself. And so they, while Timothy Leary is escaping from prison, the journalists do a fantastic job of recreating it. They align what Nixon is saying in the office today. So literally, it'll be quotes, it's little quotes because they have it all on tape, and it'll be, they'll tell Timothy Leary has escaped from prison, and Nixon will be like, crap, we got to go get him or something. So that's one of my favorite books. I also read the biography of. Called A Mother American Night, about the Grateful Dead lyricist. Highly recommended. Michael Pollan's book. I presented that to the Denver chapter. I think that was extremely, I don't want to say revolutionary, but it really propelled. It was great to precede the mushroom campaign. It really projected psychedelics into the mainstream, or was one of the factors projecting these psychedelics into the mainstream. I think because it kind of uses a lot more easy terms and layman terms, and like I said before, it kind of brings into reality. Michael Pollan does a great job of, sometimes books on psychedelics can read like the Bible or something like the newspaper, very cut and dry. or Michael's poem books, How to Change Your Mind, does a great job of kind of bringing it down to earth.
We got that for our mom for her birthday, so we're hoping that...
I gave it to my dad, and it's my signed copy, and I'm afraid he lost it.
What is this crap?
Where is this? Yeah, he threw it in the fire or something. In witchcraft.
Voodoo. Foosball.
So with the Psychedelic Club, do you have like a general type of member, or is it all over the board, meaning like people who are into psychedelics, people who aren't, people who want to find out? Like, what is the membership rate like?
That's a great question. That's probably one of my favorite parts of Psychedelic Club, and we actually had this discussion in our board meeting, at least at the Denver chapter, and I'm pretty sure, I've only been to really the Boulder chapter. I'm planning to make a few more visits, but it's everyone, man. There's deadheads that have been tripping on acid that still have some orange sunshine hidden out since the 60s. I swear, that's a true story.
Yo, get them in for the podcast.
Let's talk offline.
And then there's people who've never even tried mushrooms. And then there's people who are, having trouble with alcohol or another substance. They're trying to, find relief. And there's people who are moderate, people who do it, once a month. There's, people who don't really do it, but they find it helpful and they want to, spread the word. There's military vets too. I think that's a kind of cool thing. The psychedelic community originally was kind of seen as like the, with anti-war protests and such, but now psychedelic, veterans are some of the biggest advocates. And I'm proud to say I've got a lot of good friends that are veterans, including Brian Ortega and Matt Kale at Veterans for Natural Rights. If you haven't checked them out, they're basically veterans for psychedelics rights. And they're, so they're some of the biggest advocates right now, and I think that's really helped the psychedelic community get in the mainstream is, veterans, some of the people we owe it to most. 2 days ago was Veterans Day. We're losing veterans at an extremely high rate to suicide, and they're right now some of the biggest voices for psychedelic medicine and cannabis medicine and ending the drug war as a whole.
Yeah, and so we got to get that information on those guys. Is there a weekly meetup that people should know about? Do you guys meet at the same place every time? I know there have been some meetings that have been in different locations. Where can we direct people to check out the Denver club? And then for other people that don't live here in Denver that follow us that might want to get involved, is there a place where they can look on is there a national website where they can maybe?
psychedeliclub.com.
Okay.
But yeah, I would check out social media too. One of our goals is to have high visibility. We are coming out of the psychedelic closet. We are, trying to say, hey, you can be a functioning person. I don't like that high functioning person in society. I don't really like that term, but in some sense it is true. You can be a person in business, or you can, be a person into fitness and stuff and still enjoy mushrooms, still enjoy cannabis and everything. So we really try to be visible on social media. Find us on social media. Find us on Instagram. Find us on Facebook, meetup.com, Twitter. It shouldn't be hard to find us. That's the goal. But for the Denver chapter, at least, our normal hangout is the greatest coffee shop in Denver, Hooked on Colfax. And if you have any other group that is social justice worthy or just trying to make the world a better place and you need a meeting spot, Hooked on Colfax is the place to be. Every other week right now till January, the Denver chapter is co-hosting movie screenings at the Alamo Draft House in Sloan's Lake with an awesome startup called Good Cinema. So usually it's Hooked on Colfax, but right now till January, every other meeting is going to be at Alamo Draft House, Sloan's Lake.
Cool. How do you take your coffee?
I actually like Americanos.
Okay, right on.
My man. You had mentioned that there is a psychedelic club in Denver. We are, or not in Denver, in Boulder, at CU Boulder. We are on a college campus. There's 3 colleges here. How do we get one going here?
Well, it's pretty easy to become a psychedelic club. Just from the psychedelic club standpoint, it's usually if 3 or more people are involved, they meet once a month. The thing is, universities have their own protocols for becoming a chapter, and that's what we, again, we're trying to be as official as possible. So all our chapters are official student organizations. So usually they're a little more strict than us. So we kind of go, but if you get approved by your school and everything, you're good to go. So yeah, if anyone wants to decide, anyone listening at their college chapter, we also have one at CSU, which is huge. They average about 40, 50 people a meeting, and also one in Colorado Springs at CU Colorado Springs. So yeah, if just go by your school guideline, whatever official student org is, and that get in touch with National either through social media or the website, and we'll be good to go.
Have you had any pushback with people trying to get stuff going at colleges and the colleges not wanting it?
At private universities, yes. I'm not going to call out which universities, but there are some private universities that have just straight up denied, and they have the right to, and there's nothing really we can do. Since we are a 501c3 charity, public universities can't do much. Since we have very strict rules about no sourcing drugs, we are 100% legit, 100% legal, and so public universities can't really kick us out, or we'll have a fun time, fighting with them, and that'd be a cool story to have. But some private universities said no. But we are proud to announce that we have a reopening chapter at Harvard Psychedelic Club. So that was where
the originators.
we're headed back home. It's actually called the Harvard Psychedelic Science Club, and they're thinking about hosting a college psychedelic conference next spring. So stay tuned for that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Considering that their history in the field,
we're not going to get kicked out again. That's a problem. We're going to be much more. We'll play by the rules this time, maybe a little bit.
that was Dr. Leary himself that probably got them kicked off. But cool.
Yeah, I'll stay in Denver, so I won't get them in trouble.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned you started with the club in 2016 when you moved here. What kind of got you on the path with psychedelics?
Well, trying them.
Touche.
I was in college too one time. Once upon a time at the University of Iowa. And I think that there is something special. I saw a meme, or it's not a meme, but it's like a screenshot of a tweet, which are basically memes, and it said, "My first acid trip was more special than my first kiss," and that is 100% true. Like, I remember my first acid trip like it was yesterday, and my first kiss is kind of fady. I was like in 8th grade or something. Whatever. I don't care about the details. My first acid trip, I can tell you, like a second by second thing. What happened. So. Yeah, I just anecdotal evidence, and then kind of diving into podcasts, like Duncan Trussell, Joe Rogan, and Paul Stamets, all that kind of led me down the path. And it kind of, died down because I was in Iowa. I was living in Iowa, and that's, they're still trying to get medical cannabis. So, being into weed was, like, revolutionary there. So my interest in psychedelics didn't really take off till I got to Denver, and then, boom, hit, hyperdrive.
So when you were in Iowa, were you belly crawling through cow patties looking? Is that a thing in Iowa? No.
Well, it's definitely a thing. Mushroom, not only psychedelic mushroom, but every other mushroom hunting is huge in Iowa because a lot of trees and stuff. So I personally did not, but I'm sure some people I know did or are currently doing. My friend, I haven't gotten any Snapchats lately, but I'm sure I will soon.
Did you move to Denver to get in the cannabis industry?
It was a motivating factor, and it was funny because I kind of thought, I was like, I'm sticking to the private sector. I'm gonna, make some money. Like, I'm gonna get my job skills, get my, corporate skills and stuff, and I'm not gonna get involved in political stuff or stuff. And I'm like, I'll just go to this Denver chapter meeting. Next thing you know, I'm a leader of that. Next thing you know, I'm in, national, and I'm really happy I did that. So, I kind of did move to Denver for cannabis, but I visited Denver a lot before, and I kind of just like the culture. I knew there was a reason why that they weren't cool, because Denver and Colorado isn't cool because they legalized cannabis. Colorado was cool before that, and that was like a side effect of being cool, is that cannabis was legalized. And the side effect too is decriminalizing mushrooms. I don't think that's Denver's MO is to let's be the cool drug city. No, Denver is a cool place where they are a tolerant city, and that's a side effect of being a tolerant city is drug legalization comes to an end because drug prohibition is the opposite of tolerance.
And it really doesn't really work anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even do what they wanted it to do. So
I think there's something this while back, but was a clip from Rogan, and like 1 in 6 people are in prison for nonviolent drug offenses.
Yeah, and it's still rising. Marijuana arrests are still rising, and I think that's kind of reflects on the, not only how some states are behind, but how some places aren't legalizing outright. I would say some people are skipping over decriminalization and stuff, and I think that's that's criminal in and of itself to skip over. I'm all for legalization and everything, but if you skipped over decriminalization, it's like, what's the point?
So you think the route is to go decriminalize and then go into medical and
I think the decriminalize first and foremost, and then we can start. Obviously we've already talked about legalizing medical stuff. I'm all for that, but we have to decriminalize because there's some places. I'm not going to name names, but there's something going on in Oregon where a situation could come about and mushrooms might be legal medically and they might not be decriminalized, which is controversial to say the least. So,
how does that work?
The bill just does not include decriminalization. It just includes medical psilocybin and mushrooms.
So then that would potentially mean that if you had the medical license, but some police officer or whatever had a hair across his ass and wanted to be a ball buster, you're still breaking the law, right?
Or if you just didn't have a prescription for mushrooms, you would still get a felony and stuff. And it's just, that's ridiculous that some people who can afford a doctor and stuff, I assume this psilocybin therapy isn't going to be free. So it's just ridiculous that someone who can afford therapy can have mushrooms, no problem. But then someone who can't, but they can afford, a cheap bag of mushrooms, they get a felony. That's ridiculous. So I think we need to decriminalize everything, from my point, and a lot of people in Psychedelic Club agree that we need to not only decriminalize psychedelics, but end the whole drug war, bring it all down. Like, it's been a total, complete failure. Decriminalize everything, and then let's talk about legalizing medical.
And so for the people that are listening that might be confused, or we had friends from back home that are like, oh, mushrooms are legal now, and it's like, we have to remind them that it's decriminalized. What does decriminalize mean to the people that may not understand that, or just even though they hear decriminalize, they just think it's like a free-for-all and like you can go and find mushrooms on every corner? Like, what does decriminalize mean?
In the most sense, it kind of is a little different in Denver. Decriminalize means to strip away criminal penalty. It doesn't legalize sale and stuff, so you can't really set up like a business. You couldn't get really a loan and stuff. Just means you'd get no penalty for having it. Kind of creates a little gray area, but it's just take away criminal penalties. So Denver didn't traditionally decriminalize because they didn't really strip away the criminal penalty. They just made it lowest enforcement, and the city can't use funds to enforce it. So it's a little different decriminalization, but generally decriminalization means to just strip away criminal penalty, which, again, like I said, it doesn't allow you to open up a business or anything.
So technically, even here in Denver, you could still potentially get yourself in trouble if you're not doing things the right way.
Yes, and someone learned that the hard way. There was a DEA raid.
I saw that.
So it's still like a gray area, still a little battleground, and again, I'm no legal expert, but when it comes to doing this, I take the cautious side. And
you're talking about the guy that was like posting in the classified ads, correct? Or is that a different one?
I don't believe he was posting in the classified ads, but there was someone who was rated that was in a bunch of interviews. He was in Westward and stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay. Westward.
So yeah, that is just shows that it is totally, it's not fully, totally decriminalized if the DEA is still, doing raids.
So 2 questions for that before we get away from this one too far. Being that you're from Iowa, we're from New Jersey. We've had this conversation a few times with different people. The topic comes up kind of like a joke, but in your opinion, what's going to be the last state in the union to either decriminalize or to have medical or recreational marijuana?
I would say, just out of political intuition, I would say somewhere in the Deep South.
Deep South?
Yeah. Either, I would just say Alabama, Arizona, or not Arizona. Arizona has medical, but my guess is somewhere in the deep south.
All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully those deep south states can look at a place like Oklahoma and see what's happened within the last, I don't even think it's been, it has been a full year now. But, if you open up leafy or weed maps in Oklahoma City, just like here in Denver, like you have to blow it up so much to find your pin because there's so many, it's like here where there's probably more dispensaries than there are Starbucks.
Nice. It's a good problem to have.
When it comes to decriminalizing on a local level, do people just need to get signatures to get it on the ballot? Is that what goes into that?
It totally depends on what city you're in.
All right.
Yeah. City by city.
And so what's the next, is there a next step to 301 in terms of medical or legalization, or are we like, let's just let this percolate for a while and nobody do anything stupid so we can prove that we're cool and then we can go forward?
Well, there is the mushroom panel, which kind of occurs after every citywide ordinance. It's kind of a panel, half of the city government, half of the winning campaign. They kind of hash out the minor details. So right now that's on Spores, the other psychedelic organization, or I should say one of many psychedelic organizations within Denver and Colorado. That's kind of what they're doing right now. There has been some talks of a statewide initiative to decriminalize or medical. And I've also heard leaders in Boulder are actually taking steps to decriminalize mushrooms and possibly all psychedelic plants.
Sweet. Go Boulder.
Go Boulder.
Right.
Those old hippies are getting rid of all the triathletes and the marathoners and taking their city back over.
Yeah.
You go.
Did that.
I got a question for you. What's your psychedelic of choice?
Psychedelic of choice. I'm going to take a little cop out and say cannabis, but if we're going traditional psychedelics, I would say it's a tie between DMT and LSD. Good old
Oh shit.
DMT when I'm busy, LSD when I got some free time. I mean, I'm really busy, man. I got Psychedelic Club, I got a job, I gotta exercise, gotta do Colorado stuff, hiking. Who's got time for a 16-hour LSD trip?
You gotta take the LSD and then go for the hike.
That's true too.
That's what I do.
Thing to do.
I've run the Leadville 100 while microdosing.
Oh hell yeah!
So it's that's my favorite activity, is to take a few, anywhere from say 20 to, for with Uncle Nate, maybe 150 micrograms, and then go hang out and run in the mountains for 5-6 hours.
Hell yeah! Mountains are a great place. I actually just got back into hiking. I had a knee surgery over summer, and I'm still kind of recovering. So I've gone on all the easy trails. I literally type in like family hiking routes in Denver or in Colorado, and I'm like perfect. So I just got started, get back into hiking. And it's, after I spent the whole summer in the Midwest, and
How was that?
Midwest is awesome in the summertime. I mean, it's in the 80s and 90s. A lot of water there, which I kind of miss. But it doesn't have the I would say the mountains and just the beautiful nature. The lakes of Wisconsin actually they're very underrated in the whole nature scene of America. The lakes of the Midwest are amazingly beautiful. And I had a lot of fun. I was actually like in a knee cast and everything, but I still got to be on the boat, and I got to sit by the lake, which is cool. But it's really glad to be able to like walk around in nature again, and the heights. Chicago is one of probably the flattest places on earth. It's like I'll climb up a mountain and be like, I'm at the top of the Sears Tower, the almighty Sears Tower, and I feel like I'm at their same height. And I walked up here.
So our director here, he said that Chicago is greater than Denver, but Colorado is greater than Illinois.
You got to make everyone happy, right? Chicago has better food. That's most
That
definitely.
was one thing he said.
That is very true, except for breakfast food. Denver has better breakfast food, but when it comes to everything else, Chicago is
Because green chili.
green. Green chili is great. I gotta eat something else the other 6 days a week. I mean, Chicago is such a great city, man. There is a lot of things going on, and I think people are generally friendlier than they are in the average mighty city. But at the same time, it is so like congested, and there's so many people on top of each other. Like when you're in the dead center of the city, like I live in Cap Hill right now, I can go up hiking in 30, 45 minutes. If you're in the dead center of Chicago, it takes me about an hour, 20 minutes to get to my parents' house in the suburbs. So I think Denver, obviously that's why I live here. But right now I think Denver's better because it has the energy of Chicago, LA, New York City, Miami, and everything. But we're still kind of this small, chill city that does whatever the hell we want. We kind of give the federal government a middle finger. And we give like the influences of California too. I think, the big progressive liberal machine too, they kind of try to push their ideals on us too, just like the right wing machine does too, and Colorado gives the middle finger to the both of them.
So for all those people that are here in Denver that are complaining that it's too crowded, you tell them they're
this traffic is nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, that's what I say. I came from, and Richie came from Cali too before we moved here, and it's like you guys have no idea.
Nothing.
I don't know. Sometimes at 25, you pull on there mistakenly. Even though Waze is telling you to go down 6th, you think, oh, it's only a mile, and then I'm off, and then you pull on, and it's a
bumper.
complete standstill. You're like, I feel like I just got onto the 5 in LA or San Diego.
Yeah, but the only difference is roads in California are like 6 or 7 lanes, where here it's only 3 or 4.
Exactly.
True.
No, it is bad, but I mean, big cities are terrible too. Like it's like Chicago, it's like that for miles on miles. I mean, my mom sits in traffic for 45 minutes for what could be a 15-minute drive with no traffic.
Yeah. Deep dish.
Oh yeah, all the way.
All the way.
I did. My Chicago family might execute me over this, but there is a place in Denver, and it does Detroit style pizza, and it's called Blue Pan Pizza. It's just like Chicago. They probably copied it. So just saying, those best ideas probably still came from Chicago, but it's just like Chicago pizza, and it has more gluten in the crust, so it's a lot more fluffier. But I highly recommend it.
Blue Pan. Where's that at?
There's a few locations. There's one in the Highlands. Yeah, they do like this. They do Chicago. I haven't tried it yet. They do the Chicago style with with the sauce on top and everything. That's what that's the only way to do it. But I think I almost like it more than a lot of places in Chicago. So
Really?
this doesn't reach Chicago, right? This it is like a local.
Maybe.
So, one question I have to ask everyone I meet from Chicago. Richie's gonna roll his eyes right now, but did you grow up a pro wrestling fan?
A what?
Pro wrestling fan?
Not really.
All
I mean,
right.
I watched, the WCW back in the day with
Hell
Sting,
yeah.
and but I haven't really, got not in the last few years.
All right, cool. Now I have to ask that because I know Chicago is a wrestling city, and I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. Another question I had for you more on the Psychedelic Club was I was on the Psychedelic Club website last night, and one of your guys' main mission statements or goals is to help people with integration. For people who don't know what integration is, kind of just go into detail what it is and how important it is.
Integration is simply bringing the lessons you learned during your experience into real life. And it can be something as simple as just reflecting, or it can be, with a therapist, or my favorite is journaling. And I think that's great because, especially after a short psychedelic like DMT or 5-MeO DMT, you have to write it down fast or you don't remember it. Or if you're in a longer trip, like a mushroom trip or an LSD trip or a mescaline trip, you write it down while you're in the trip. And I think it's a great way to go back and reflect. Especially if you're having a tough time with something, it's really cool to go back to your journal entries, and it's just you're awesome, you're full of light, go do God's work. You're like, oh, that makes me feel a little better that I wrote this. Integration is just bringing it back into real life. I think it is extremely important, and I think it's gone really underlooked. And there is, several different ways, and there's no one way that's the right answer. Everyone has to kind of figure it out on their own. Some people don't like to talk to therapists. Some people love to talk to therapists, or just with any other person, I would say. And some people like to write, like myself. Some people like to do video journals, which, just make sure you set the privacy writing, setting before, maybe don't make it public while you're tripping or
I
something.
did one of those in Peru.
Yeah, live stream my mushroom trip. Maybe go, the world is yours, but do whatever you want. But
It's out there. It's out there forever.
Nice. Yeah.
Someone will find it.
So, integration, very important.
And that's a big thing with what Joe and Kyle are doing. They're really big on integration, and we've discussed it with a couple other people because I feel, we mentioned given our mother Michael Pollan's book, they missed the whole hip. Even though they're from that generation, they were on the other side of the hippie revolution, and I think for a lot of people on that side of the fence, they look at it as just like this party thing, or that you're doing to go to a concert or go see the Dead, or that's what they associate it with, and now associating with things like therapy and PTSD or battling addiction, whether it be opiates or nicotine or alcoholism. I think that integration piece is such a huge component that even in my experiences in group settings and stuff is sometimes overlooked. And I think that that's something that really needs to be at the forefront of presenting this to people is like, hey, yeah, you're going to get some downloads here, but you need to know how to work with that stuff and then use it on the back end.
Totally. And I think, we should bring integration more into daily life. If you have a fun day at the beach with your family, I think, maybe, and this is, just my opinion, I don't have any, studies are saying this will improve your life, but I think, if you have a great day or something, talk about it, reflect, write in your journal, why was today a great day? If you went on vacation with your family, what did you like about the vacation? Why did you feel great? Why do you like spending time with your people? So I think integration, just reflecting on, I think people focus on the negative a lot, but I think focusing on the positive, why did we have a great time in Florida? I love the warm weather, screw snow. I think that's important to just in more of a daily life is to integrate our good and bad experiences.
I like that. Yeah, that's, that goes into, we talk about, having a gratitude journal, and just so many people don't realize that they kind of live below the line per se, and just their everyday interactions they come across as being a bit negative and they don't even realize it. And by journaling that stuff or integrating, going to have deep dish pizza with your boys or whatever, and making a note of that, that's how you start to change that hamster wheel and that repetitive loop, and all of a sudden your thoughts and your actions and everything that you say goes from being maybe below the line to being above the line, being positive and having gratitude for everything. And I talk about that. I coach ultramarathoners and marathoners, and I've paced a few clients this summer, and when they're down and out at 60, 70, 80 miles, I'm like, tell me 3 things you're grateful for right now. And then when they're done, I say, okay, remember, you signed up for this, you wanted to do this, and you paid a lot of money to do this. So keep putting one foot in front of the other. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think too, and I think in the moment too, we need to be really focused on it, or not focused, but be aware. I've been listening to a lot of Ram Dass lately, and Ram Dass one of his main mantras is, I am loving awareness. And
that's my jam.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to repeat to yourself. It's so, it just hits nail on the head, and it's so simple. And I think that's, being aware in the moment is important to integration. If you get frustrated, take a deep breath and realize, you are loving awareness that is temporarily frustrated at the time. Why are you frustrated? You have these feelings for a valid reason, whatever they may be, and at your core, you are loving awareness, but something is kind of temporary blocking it. So I think being aware in the moment is very important to integration as well.
I appreciate your perspective on integration. I feel like when I first started dabbling with psychedelics, I missed the boat on integration, like 100%, and getting to a point now where it's like starting to integrate some of my first experiences and certain things, and the journaling is key for me, and the gratitudes are key, and that love and awareness is like always brings me back and can ground me. And like, you listen to Ram Dass talk, right? And here's a dude who did nothing but LSD in the 60s and 70s and was one of the pioneers. And you hear him talk, and he still
He was boys with Timothy Leary,
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And he still has that same vibration to him, but he's 100% sober. And it's just all that integration and all that work on the back end that, you know, that's the goal, you know.
Yeah.
Will I get in this lifetime? Maybe not, but that's the goal.
Totally. Yeah. Just a side note, Ram Dass is so incredibly smart. Not just from, a, guru psychedelic point of view. He was a top psychologist at Harvard. He can quote any Western psychologist. He's not just focused on, Indian gurus and yoga and mantras. He can quote Chinese, American Freud, everything. And like, it just this, you might not agree with everything. I don't agree with anyone 100%. I don't agree with Ram Dass. I'm not, 100%. Just listening to talk, though, it's like listening to the most brilliant professor I've ever listened to give a lecture on something that is his subject, and his subject ranges are so wide in the human life and psychology. So, yeah, check out the long lectures of Ram Dass. The short clips with inspirational music in the background are great, but the long lectures are where it's at.
Yeah, I used to listen to all those podcasts that the Love Server Remember Foundation has put out, and like listening to Ram Dass' voice to me is like center. It's like home.
Yeah.
It like kind of bring me back and just listen a little bit of that. And like you said, it might not be stuff that I 100% agree with, but just listening to that kind of brings me back down to earth and gets me thinking in a clear head.
Totally. Yeah, he's so down to earth too for being so high vibrational. He makes fun of himself, he makes fun of everyone, and he always has a great sense of humor. He makes cultural references. So for someone that's just vibrating on such an amazing level and has, on different levels of consciousness, he's such a well-grounded person too, and just amazing being overall.
Yeah, he said something recently. I don't even know if I heard him directly say it or I heard someone quote him, but it was amazing, and I have taken this on and used it in my own way. But he was talking about Donald Trump, and he said, "I don't like Donald Trump, but I love him."
Yeah, there's totally wrong.
And so to like have that thought about it, because we joke about it all the time, where be going on a rant about something, and then I'll finish, and then I'll say like a loving kindness meditation and laugh it off. But yeah, you just go on this tirade about someone that did something today or whatever, and you'll be like, I don't like you, but I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, and he also talks about, he had a stroke a few years ago, and he just talks about how much grace he's had from the stroke. And, anyone having a physical injury, especially, like myself, that we hear listening to him talk about how, it kind of sounds weird on surface value, like he's in denial or something, but it's not. He finds the grace in suffering, and he helps you so much to find the grace in suffering. And like I said, it's hard to hear on surface. Grace from suffering, you're probably, crazy, you're in denial or something. But Ram Dass does an awesome job of helping, at least help me find grace in suffering through the podcast. I think it's called Ram Dass Be Here Now. It's on Spotify.
Yeah, it's one of those things, growing up, going to church, you always hear grace, right? But no one tells you what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me, getting older, experimenting, listening to Ram Dass, kind of feeling like, oh, that's what grace is. It's just that love that's unconditional, and no matter what you do, you get it. Like, that's healing in itself when you can wrap your head around that concept.
Totally. Yeah, the concept of grace. I grew up going to, Roman Catholic Church, and they talk about grace a lot. And I feel like Ram Dass has helped me understand the Roman Catholic version of grace more than the Roman, going to years of church.
100%.
So that's how powerful Ram Dass is. He helps you understand religions that he's not even technically part of.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely been instrumental in, because we were raised Catholic as well, too. At a certain point, just kind of completely, like, pushed away all of that sort of religion and all that stuff, and then coming in contact with Ram Dass and reading Be Here Now and seeing some of his documentaries and podcasts, and then opening doors to other people, you realize, oh, I can be spiritual, I can believe in a higher power, and I don't have to go to this particular church where these people do this particular thing, and I can believe in the universe and have my own grace at Christmas, and the family will look at me a little weird, but
Totally.
yeah.
And I think that's a great part of a Psychedelic Club too. There's a lot of people, like especially in the Denver chapter, there's a lot of people who are more scientific and don't believe in any mysticism and whatever. And then there's people who are very mystical, very spiritual. And there's people who are still consider themselves Christian. Some people, all over the board. And I think that's a great part of psychedelics is it kind of like plays a part in almost everything. Every culture has had some part of psychedelics, and I think it can help you even if you don't believe in God or whatever. I still think psychedelics in some way, shape, or form, especially since there's so many psychedelics, can help you. I usually define spiritual as, for the most blunt, broad term, connection to the universe, to the world around you. And I think it can help even it won't make you, believe in God or something, but I still think it can help people who are the most dead set atheists. And I've seen that because they come to chapter meetings sometimes.
Have you seen Ram Dass's new movie, Becoming Nobody?
No, I have not. I've watched the other one on Netflix like 100 times. It's like 30 minutes, but yeah.
What about Dosed? Have you seen that yet?
Dose, we just hosted a screening on Saturday, actually, at the Bug Theater. It was awesome. Yeah, I've actually seen it twice now in theaters. We hosted a pretty sweet panel, including members of Zendo, MAPS, and the No X Society.
Speaking of Zendo, isn't there something going on with them, like in a week or two in Boulder?
There is. Psychedelic Club of Boulder is hosting Sarah and Ryan of Zendo Project, 6 p.m. in the Helms Arts and Science Building. I forget what room number, but it is on Instagram. It's on social media. It's on our website, and that's going to be a great meeting. Sarah and Ryan are fantastic. And
What day is that?
that is on Monday, November 18th.
Okay. I know we're doing Monday, November 18th.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, the cops are here. They're looking for us.
Oh, God. Hide the mushrooms. That meeting is going to be great. And again, we specifically, block off time for Q&A. So, because the purpose is community. It's not just here to hear presentations and stuff. So it's going to be a great opportunity to actually talk to Sarah and Ryan.
Now, if I'm correct, is Zendo harm reduction? Is that what they do? What do they do?
Psychedelic harm reduction.
Right.
They actually go to festivals and stuff. I think they're at the Grateful Dead show in Boulder. They have like a little tent. If you're having a difficult experience, they will comfort you. You just go to their tent. And they have a lot of volunteers. A lot of our chapter members in different cities volunteer for them. And they're just a fantastic organization. So, yeah, if you're having a difficult trip at a festival or a Grateful Dead show, look for the Zendo tent.
Just breathe.
Just breathe. And
You
look
can
for the
breathe
Zendo.
through anything.
Just start shouting Zendo. Maybe they'll come.
Since you started working with Psychedelic Club, what has been the most impactful experience you've had, either with members or getting something together, but something that had like a deep impact on you where you're like, wow, I'm stoked to be a part of this and this is making a change?
Well, obviously the mushroom campaign has kind of set up a chain of effects, and that's really cool to be part of, to kind of be on the footsteps of that. But I'm going to go a little more cornier than that, and I think the greatest thing is friendship. And I actually saw someone, another leader of a different chapter in Colorado, said her favorite thing about psychedelics was all the friends she has made, and I think that's from my point of view, and I talked about it with a few other people, and it's not just I've made I made a bunch of white male friends that are 25 as well that listen to Joe Rogan. I've made friends that older friends, again, deadheads that I think I would have never met before. I've met friends from different political beliefs, different religions, different levels of mysticism that I would never have met before, and I call them really good friends right now. And I think that's happening at all other Psychedelic Club chapters. Just I think because that's our model is to be so inclusive We like to say if you come to one Psychedelic Club event, you're a member for life. There's no membership fees, no attendance fees. And so I think I've just made this amazing community of friends, personal friends. And that is cool because it's from a different, everyone's from different demographics, I think is the best part. It's really uniting.
Are there different demographics here in Denver?
Not compared to Chicago. But I was, as far as Denver goes, the Psychedelic Club of Denver is pretty diverse. Again, that's a little asterisk is as far as Denver goes. So,
what other than the event on the 18th, are there any other events coming up that we should know about or that people should know about?
Well, we are currently planning our bicycle day party, which is on 4/19. We usually host it in downtown Denver. Last year was a big success. It was at a venue called Your Mom's House.
We were there.
You were there.
Nice. So we're planning to do it bigger and better this year. So stay tuned for that. We also might be, if you're a college student or really interested in psychedelics in college universities, we might be co-hosting the Intercollegiate Psychedelic Conference in spring. I'm trying to think if there's anything kind of stuff that usually dies down with the whole holidays stuff coming on, but our chapter at CSU usually hosts great events. This Colorado Springs usually hosts great events, and so there's almost like a Psychedelic Club meeting almost every day, kind of in Colorado. So if you're ever bored, especially during the week, and you just want to go to Psychedelic Club, just look up either the Boulder, CSU, Colorado Springs, or Denver, and you'll have yourself a meeting. So
you can find the others.
You can find the others. Another big shout out I want to give out to is the Mushroom Co-op. They're still in talks, but the Mushroom Co-op is a lot of good friends of mine. They're going to be forming in Denver. I don't know too much details because I'm not officially part of it, but I just want to say they're run by a bunch of great group of people that are really motivated to help people do what they want to do. Whether it's, I don't know their exact mission statement, but they're going to have something great here for Denver in the near future. So be ready for the Mushroom Co-op, Denver.
All right. It's funny they're saying that things, kind of die down during the holidays, where, there is that myth of, that Santa Claus is, and the story of Santa Claus is all derived from mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? The Amanita muscaria. Did I say that right?
Yeah. We're actually hosting. Thanks for the reminder. On Monday.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. And I knew something. Got triggered somehow. Psychedelic Club is hosting a screening of Psychedelica from Gaia Productions. The Holy Mushroom Theory at the Alamo Draft House with good cinema. And the best part again about those is there's a panel afterwards. So the episodes are about 45 minutes long. It's at this really bougie movie theater where they come serve you beer and food at your seat. It's really cool. And it's about the Holy Mushroom Theory. And I don't know if it's explicitly about the Amanita muscaria because that does not contain psilocybin. That's a different drug. But it's
Have you ever tried it?
I have not.
Okay.
But the episode's called the Holy Mushroom Theory, so I'm not sure if it's just about mushrooms in general or about the Amanita muscaria, but that is also on the 18th. So you got to choose one. Because Zendo starts at 6 and the movie starts at 6:30. So fortunately, you got to choose one event, but there will
Closer.
be.
Which one are you going to?
I'll be in Boulder.
Okay.
We actually just got a bunch of new swag, a bunch of new stickers, a banner.
Everybody likes swag.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stickers for you guys too in my pocket.
sick.
Don't let me leave without them. But so I got a bunch. I'm going to deliver that to the Boulder chapter. I haven't told them yet, so they're going to be listening to this. I got cool stuff for you.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I was curious about the Amanita because we found me and a couple friends were out running this summer in the mountains in July when we had a bunch of rain up in the mountains, and it's like once you found the one, and it was just like, and they were all over. So they're dried. We have them. We're just no one's really brave enough. And then I tell them the story about how like the either the strongest male or the weakest female of the group would eat them, and then you would drink their urine, and they're like, "I'm not drinking your piss, bro."
Yeah, pass.
You might die then.
Yeah, someone else do it first, then I'll watch.
That's where we're all at right now. It's like, you do it, and then if it's you're good, I'll do it. And they're like, "No, you do it, and if you're good, we'll do it."
Cool.
So-
I don't know how that goes.
So we're big here too on like leveling up and trying to be 1% better every single day. Do you have any daily practices or rituals or things that you do to either level up or to center yourself, or just to get your day off to the right start and keep you on track?
I've actually been focusing about it in the day. I think there's a lot of good stuff to do out there at the beginning of the day. So I'm going to talk about what I do at the end of the day, and that's I reflect on why today was a good day. Even if it was a shitty day, there's some good parts. And I think I've started to notice, especially since we're in this world of technology, if you have something on your mind when you go to bed, you wake up thinking about it. If it's bad, you're angry about it. Like if I'm ticked off at someone at work or something, and I go to sleep thinking about it, I'll wake up thinking about it, and I'll be all mad and stuff, and I'll just, I can't go back to sleep because, you're like, I want to go back to sleep, and I'm so pissed at so-and-so. So what I've been doing before I go to bed, is try to silence everything, and I kind of just think to myself, maybe, do some other stuff, clean up a little or whatever. I think, why was today good? And, today I'm going to think, I went on an awesome podcast, and it was a beautiful day. Listened to some Ram Dass, smoked some awesome cannabis, and little things. So, I wore my favorite shoes today or something. So integrating good parts of your day, and maybe even bad parts, what frustrated me. If I'm going to bed feeling frustrated, I'll literally, be in silence and stuff and think, why am I frustrated right now? Do I need to lose sleep over it? And the answer is usually no. So I would say kind of integrating your whole day at the end of the day has been an amazing thing for me.
And as you're doing that reflection, are you writing things down, or is it all just internal?
Right now, it's been internal, unless it's been something profound. I usually save journaling for something that's, really crazy, or something I'm struggling with, or a psychedelic trip, which is usually a combination of both. But yeah, usually if it's just like a chill day, I'll just do it internally. And maybe I'll do it twice, 3 times, just to it's like a mantra. You kind of say it, kind of almost got to convince yourself. Like today was cool because the sun was out, and I don't like wearing jackets. I like rolling up my sleeves. And then maybe 10 minutes later, while I'm still, kind of do things, I'll be like, today was cool because it was sunny out, So, yeah, integrating my, good and bad parts. You can't. I think it's important. Sometimes in the psychedelic community, we get a little caught up in being positive and this radiant. And my good friend Clayton once said that is some Brave New World shit. There is negative in this world. This world positive exists because of negative, and if you don't recognize it, you're just in denial. So,
No mud, no lotus.
Yeah. So it's important to integrate negative and positive things from your day, and be not free from them, but let them go. Like let them flow. I think if you suppress all your anger and stuff, and you just, I'm not gonna worry about it. You need to recognize it and let it go, and you'll sleep much better and wake up happier.
Do you have a favorite strain?
Yes, Sour Tsunami. It is almost a 1-to-1 THC. It usually is about 12 to 15% THC and 7 to 10% CBD, and it tastes like gummy bears, like very fruity. It's great.
What was it called? Tsunami?
Sour Tsunami.
Sour Tsunami.
Yeah.
With a T.
Tsunami. Yeah.
Write that down. Is that only available at your locations, or?
No, I've seen it around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that.
It's a good one. Sour Tsunami, some of the best. My favorite strain.
I'm gonna have to talk to Uncle Nate.
What did you say? What strain that was? Like what kind of?
It's technically a sativa. I think it comes from the sour diesel lineage. I'm not 100% sure how you start all of a sudden producing CBs. I'm sure it has to do with the genetics and stuff. But kind of has that like sour diesel, golden goat taste. Or if you're at sour amnesia, it's kind of like that too.
But, but I like the sound of that.
Yeah, that one's a good one too. But yeah, it's great. It's a sativa, but usually because it has a high CBD, so it kind of negates the sativa effects because the CBD kind of chills you out a little bit. Yeah.
Sweet. That's a big thing, right? The one is
I like it, especially with eating edibles. CBD kind of. I don't know what the thing about CBD is. No one really knows how well it works. Some people it's a miracle thing, and some people are like, this doesn't do anything. But I think CBD if there's one thing about CBD I'm sure about, and I've been working at a cannabis store for almost 3 years, and I have been testing the product a lot. If there's one thing that CBD does, it does tweak the high from THC. So if you are ever a little paranoid from taking THC, but you really want to try it, I would always recommend either maybe ingesting CBD first or at least with it. In my humble anecdotal Wikipedia expert opinion.
I'm going to start taking my Charlotte's Web in the evening. Right on. Joey, is there anything that we haven't asked you or touched on that you want to get out there?
I would just like to say that, we are a psychedelic club, and psychedelics are awesome, but there's other substances out there that are pretty cool too. I just had a knee replacement surgery from Western medicine. There's a lot of good pharmaceuticals that serve their purpose. Opioids have their purpose in our society. So we as a community, we as a society need to stop stigmatizing all substances, and we need to take the drug war down totally and start looking at communities that we've heard. Often the psychedelic community is kind of white and bougie, and I think, we lose focus on helping those who have been disproportionately affected by the drug war. And I think, while it's important we are decriminalizing psychedelic plants, it's really, really important that we start decriminalizing everything and start fixing the errors of the past.
And that all goes back to education, too.
Yeah. Harm reduction, education, compassion, tolerance. It's a good recipe right there.
Yeah, when everybody does better, everybody does better.
I agree.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for coming in today, Joey.
Totally. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Speak our language on our level, so we appreciate it, and we appreciate what you do here in Denver.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And if you want to shout out all the social media stuff, and then we'll include all that stuff in the show notes as well.
Yeah, sure. Check out on Facebook, Psychedelic Club, Psychedelic Club Denver, Psychedelic Club of Boulder, Psychedelic Club at CSU, Pittsburgh, Colorado Springs, everywhere. And then friendly organizations, check out sports, check out the NOAC Society, check out the Drug Policy Alliance, check out MAPS, because we're all different pieces of the puzzle. Psychedelic Club is not going to do it by themselves. Spores isn't going to do it by themselves. MAP's not going to do it by themselves. Drug Policy Alliance is not going to do it by themselves. But we're all in it together. So check them all out. Find your piece. Look at Dance Safe. Dance Safe's another amazing organization that's practically based in Colorado.
Is it?
Yeah. They all live in Colorado. They're remote. Their office used to be in Denver. And their staff is all great. So, yeah, check them all out. If you don't, feel like you want to get involved, but if the Psychedelic Club doesn't really vibe, check out some of these other great organizations. Veterans for Natural Rights too. If you're a veteran and really want to get involved in healing and stuff, check out Veterans for Natural Rights.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you a Cubs or a White Sox fan, or neither?
Cubbies all the way, unfortunately.
Right.
But unfortunately, I'm also a Bears fan. So, but I call the Bears Denver's second favorite team. I think it's true. I'm pretty sure it's true.
Right on. Well, Joey, thanks so much for coming in. This is a great conversation. We really appreciate you and the information and just getting to talk about stuff that we really enjoy. So
Totally.
Thanks for coming in, and we'll definitely be seeing you at some future events.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, y'all. This is AireyBros Radio. Until next time, much love. Namaste from the boys of 1512.